And number 4, always, always, always be yourself. I know, I guess I wouldn't call myself a typical engineer. You don't find many engineers who are former models. I don't think so. Even though if there are, we should start a club. But, you know, that never stopped me. I am who I am. I like being girly sometimes, and that does not make me any less of an engineer. Whatever I am, that is what an engineer is, because I am an engineer. So remember that. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. So I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. And putting up with my bad music. So I guess we'll open up the floor to questions. Oh, there's got to be a question. Come on. All right.
When you did Navy ROTC, what are some of the other choices for like engineering that you experienced?
You can have any major you want if you want to do ROTC. So it doesn't matter. Usually they tend to want you to major in something technical. So most of the people who were in ROTC with me were engineer or science or mathematics majors. Oh, and one thing about ROTC, it's a great way if you want to get involved technically, because of course if you're in ROTC, that's a full scholarship. You don't pay any tuition. So I encourage you all if you want that as an option. Any more questions? In the back?
You mentioned that you travel all these different places. Do you see surprise by when you first meet someone that you're a female engineer? And
Oh yeah, I have to tell this story. So I went to Georgia, the country, not the state. And I don't think a lot of these people had ever seen a black person in person. So I think they thought I was Beyonce. So of course I go to, I was like, oh yeah, I'll post for a picture, you know. And you have to realize that, you know, sometimes you might be the first woman or, you know, first minority that these people have seen. But you know, if you saw somebody who, you know, was nothing you had ever seen before in your life, you would look too, right? So just embrace it, you know, smile through it. It's not like they're being rude, they're just curious. And I'd rather them be curious than, you know, be like, I'm not interested in that at all. So yeah, I do get that a lot, but I just, you know, smile through it. What can you do?
Just piggybacking on that, what are some barriers that you come across in your everyday work here as a woman and or as a minority?
Oh, I get mistaken for the secretary sometimes. But that's okay, because I'm more than happy to correct you. I'll tell you, I'm not the secretary. I can help you find an administrative assistant, but you know, I'm not the secretary. That used to bother me. Like when I first did my first internship, that bothered me a little bit. But that's okay, because I'm proud to say who I am, and I don't mind telling you.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience working probably primarily with men? I have a girlfriend in grad school who left engineering to become a social worker. And we all told her she was crazy. And she said, I can't stand being there anymore. And she was African American too. She's like, I'm doing everybody else's work. I'm undermined all the time. Nobody listens to me. And she has a real heart for the work, so she wanted to change fields. But I remember her experience was really hard.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you that you don't have run-ins. And like I said, when I went for my master's initially, you know, I shrunk back a little bit. And I was like, and I had to kind of, you know, have a conversation with myself, like, why am I shrinking back? You know, so to me, that's why I say I go in with this fearless attitude, like, I don't mind saying that I'm wrong, but I'm not going to assume I'm wrong. And that's the kind of attitude you have to have. And you do have to, but you know what, I also say for guys being an engineer, you have to prove yourself too. So you need to always go in with the attitude that, you know, I need to prove myself, I need to lay down, basically show them that I know what I'm talking about and not back down. Like, I'm not going to defer to you just because you're speaking louder. I'll just wait till you stop yelling and then say what I have to say. And if we have to agree to disagree, that's fine. Or I can just show you I'm right, you know. But you do have to kind of have a little bit of gumption. But that's what being an engineering is. You do have to have a bit of gumption.
When you have to decide what type of engineering would it be?
Usually it's around beginning of sophomore year, because in the beginning everybody has to take the basics, chemistry, physics, math. So I would say that would get you all the way through your freshman year, but you pretty much, but I changed. I started off as business, and I went to chemical engineering, then I went to industrial, got my bachelor's in that, and then I changed for my master's. So I think it's pretty easy to change between engineering. but you pretty much have to decide that you're gonna be an engineer within the first year. Yes.
I have another question. If you were to become like an aerospace engineer, what kind of, like, what math, like, and science would you most likely want to go into? Like,
All of them. Yes, basically, there is no avoiding math and science. Basically, the basics for any engineering is a year of physics in college, a year of chemistry in college. You don't have to do biology unless you're going into biological or, yeah, you don't have to do it for chemical. But chemistry, physics, and 2 years of math. So that's calculus and another year of differential equations and linear algebra. So, and then once you get into your major, they'll have specialty classes, but they'll usually have it within your department. Any more questions? I'm loving these questions. I like it that you guys are so talkative.
After you graduated, like what steps do you take to get to your job that you had?
Well, I started making a lot of contacts once I was in school, and that's basically how I got my job. Like I went to career fairs, I did a lot of poster sessions, I asked my professors, that was a good one. And so I actually did an internship at Argonne for 1 semester, and I kind of knew the people. So when they applied for the job, they knew my name. Did I say that backwards? They knew my name, yes, okay. It's a little hot up here. Whew. All right, in the back.
You said that if you want to go into engineering, you don't have to take bio, but could you talk a little bit about what you've seen around the world or what's happening in Argonne at that intersection between bio and engineer? Because I didn't take bio because I wanted to be an engineer, and I didn't think that had anything to do with bio.
Oh no, there is a lot going on in bioengineering and biomedical engineering, and there is a real need. And once you get into engineering, you'll see there's a lot of interdisciplinary things. But I know like in nuclear, you can go into nuclear medicine and you'd have to take bio. So there are a lot of intersection with bio and engineering. It's not just if you want to be a doctor, you take bio, and if you want to be an engineer. There's a lot of overlap. And it could fit into your schedule when you're doing engineering that you want to take some biology classes, and nobody is going to stop you from that because it can only strengthen you. But biomedical engineering is very prevalent. There's a lot of MD, PhD programs that are going on where you become a doctor and either do, I know, electrical engineering, that's a lot of neuroscience intersection, radiological engineering, that's like the MRIs and that sort of thing. That's nuclear medicine and also biology, so there is a lot of crossover.
So you don't necessarily have to have a master's in the same thing that you got a bachelor's in?
You do not have to have a master's in the same thing that you got a bachelor's in. But if it's a big switch, you might have to take some classes to catch up. Like I had a bachelor's in industrial engineering, and I got my master's and PhD in nuclear. So it took me maybe a little bit longer because I probably took a semester or two to take some classes at undergraduate level. But the good thing about grad school, I don't know if I said this, but I have to say this. Grad school, if you go in engineering, it's free. So you can take your time and take the classes that you want to take. I mean, not only is it free, but they pay you. So when I was in grad school, I got paid a good salary, good enough to live off, maybe $2,000 a month that they paid me to just go in and either teach a class while I was taking classes or to do research with a professor. So grad school is a pretty good deal for engineering. Any other questions? I just want to reiterate that you guys should watch Clueless, the movie. It has Alicia Silverstone in it. It was one of my favorite movies when I was in high school. But thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate it.